Yalimadat to all friends. Yalimadat Sultanuddin Sahib.
Yalimadat, Yalimadat. Yalimat Nabi Saiba, what's your hukum?
I mean, Yalimadat, we can go ahead and start.
Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أقنو مولانا الشاه كريم الحسيني هذا الإمام توفيق طاقات همة ياريه توفيق طاقات همة ياريه اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد يا إمام الزمان يا مولانا أنت قوتي وأنت السند وعليك اتكالي يا حاضر يا موجود يا شاكريم وحسيني أنت الإمام الحق المبين يا علي مدد. So with the mercy of our beloved Hazir Imam and with your prayers, inshallah, we're going to start this session. So I hope everybody had a good month of Ramadan, a good experience of Laylatul Qadr and an Eid Mubarak, all of them back to back. And with all that, inshallah, we're going to start this session with your prayers. So the question number 28 and 29. 28 is about Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. So I hope everybody knows about a little bit general story about Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. That his name is not is in the Quran is Khizr. So it's not mentioned in the Quran, but in the stories of the prophets, it's mentioned Khizr. Only in the Quran, it's been like Abd Saleh, something like that, like servant. It's Abd Saleh. So the general story, if everybody knows about that at the time of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, so Khizr alayhi salam is at the time of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. And Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, that his title was Kalimullah, and the one who would speak to Allah. And he ended up being a student of Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. In the beginning, well, impatient, but the point is that Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam was to that status that he was a teacher of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. And this question right here, who is Hazrat Khizr and how true is what is said about his perpetual living in this world? So the story is such that he has Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam is a prophet who has drunk some kind of water of life. Because of that, he has become ever living. He will never die. And to that, on that same note, some people, based on Christianity or some other faiths, they believe also that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam did the same thing. And he's alive. He's come down. It's going to come down one day. These are the general beliefs. What is that, or the esoteric meaning of that story in our faith? Well, in this question, if you have read, it's mentioned that that water that's talking about, that's water of ma'rifat. Water is something to do to represent the knowledge, ma'rifat. And that knowledge or that ma'rifat is something, and especially in Smiley faith, of the highest level ma'rifat of the Imam of the time. That's ma'rifat. If anybody achieves that, so let's say that achieves the water of life, that water of life that becomes ever living. If that's the case, let's see what is in the Quran Sharif, some verses of the Quran, and how this question has been answered in the book of 100 Questions. And that water is found in the zulumat. Zulumat is the plural of zulum. Zulum means darkness. So in English, we don't say darknesses, but in Arabic, zulumat is the plural form of zulumat, which means darkness. It's found there. We come across this verse of the Quran. I think we have mentioned in the past sessions that chapter 6, verse 122, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أو man kana maitan, and it's talking about some person who was dead. أو man kana maitan, someone who was dead. فأحييناه, and we have given him life. This أحيينا, from this al-hayy, hayy. فأحييناه, so we have given him life. وجعلنا له نورا. So look at this. First is stage wise, is talking about that we have given him a life. Then the next stage, وجعلنا, we have made a nur for him. So as if it's two stage here. We're talking two stage. So it's not about the physical life, because it was dead. This verse of the Quran requires some good attention, because this physical life is not considered life in the eyes of Allah. So that person was dead. It's not just about the Khizr. This verse is about it could be anyone. Could be anyone who achieves that status. It's not about Khizr, but this is a principle. Principle is a law, divine law. You put that everyone's life you put in that situation, that principle, you get the result. So somebody was dead and it was given a life by Allah. Then وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا. So the nur comes last. Now tie this up with the Hazrat Khizr that who has achieved a perpetual living, or the saying of Hazrat Isa salam that nobody can enter the kingdom of the heavens unless he or she is born twice. Lan yalija malakutu samawata man lam yu'lad maratain, unless they are born twice, aside from physical birth, two more times. So this is, we're talking about that kind of life. So what happens then at the time when a nur is appointed for him, or a nur is made for that person? As a result, yamshi bihi finnase, with that nur, that person now has that nur. It's not that nur is separate from his personality. His personality is a spiritual progress from a spiritual. So it's gone to that state, that transformation to from a spirituality to a luminous stage. So no difference between the soul and the light at that stage. When it gets to that stage, with that light, he or she can walk finnas in people. And this is also tied up to Baitul Khiyal. Those who accept the Baitul Khiyal, those who have the Ismi Azam, so they give the permission to the Imam of the time. So they get the admission and they get the permission from Imam of the time to come and build their personal roles, their Baitul Khiyal. And Imam alayhi salam, because that happens with the acceptance and permission, now those practiced Baitul Khiyal, Imam alayhi salam could come in their personal roles and do a new construction. So that nur could walk in personal roles of all. When Imam alayhi salam says that, all this tied up with Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam, if we limit our understanding to the story of Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam in that all those dignity and understanding just the personality of Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam, that has become just a historical personality. Everything is about Imam of the time. Everything is about Imam of the time. So when Imam of the time, based on that relationship between Murids and Murshid, when that gets established through practice of Baitul Khiyal, Imam alayhi salam could come with that nur, can walk. When Imam alayhi salam in the Farman says, you are in my thoughts, in my prayers, and in my heart, it's not just the words. It means it is like that. So our soul is all the time in the Imam alayhi salam's prayers, thoughts, and in his heart. Like the other way, Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah in his memoir says, it is said, live move and have our being in God. So someone has said it, it's with a biblical reference, but Imam Salam loves that, and that's the truth. So Imam Salam puts that in his memoirs. It is said that we live, move, and have our being in God. Then take this statement. This statement with what Hazrat Imam Salam says, that you're always in my thoughts, in my prayers, and in my heart. And the same thing with this nur, because of this nur is possible for that perfect man, for the Imam of the time, with that kind of statement, that you are always in my thoughts, in my prayers, and in my heart. Okay, when that happens, kamam masalahu, the example of that nur is such that fi zulumatin, in the darknesses, if you laysa bi kharijin minha, will not get out of that. So in that question, if you have read the answer, Allama Sabuzgar mentions that the marifat of Allah is within that zulumat, darknesses. So what, being in this world of Nasud, world of humanity, in this, I hope we understand what we're talking about. We have mentioned this before. World of Nasud, we have 4 of them. Alami Nasud, then Alami Malakut, Alami Jabarut, Alami Lahut. So this nur being from Alami Nahut coming to this Alami Nasud, so he's in there. And the Marifat is in this Zulumat, all this Zulumat. So that's the reality about that nur. That's what happened with Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. So he's not something with, we don't believe in such a way that the general people would believe that he has drunk some kind of water and he's living somewhere in the universe and he's going to live forever. No. In this other verse of the Quran, it denies that. Nobody can become like that physically. وَمَا جَعَلْنَا لِبَشَرٍ وَمَا جَعَلْنَا لِبَشَرٍ, and we did not grant to any man. So Khizr was a person. Every person is based on fitrat, on nature. All the prophets, all the imams based on that nature. There's no disturbance in that law of nature. So Khizr was not an exception. We did not grant to any man before you eternity on earth. So وَمَا جَعَلْنَا لِبَشَرٍ, for any bashar, for any humankind, min qablika, before you. So it's talking to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is talking to Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa sallam. So nobody, no exception. Qablika al-khuld, the eternity, like khaliduna fiha. So there's no such thing. So now this negates what the beliefs of general people is about Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. So we need to find the truth. What was about the Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam? It wasn't the physicality. It was the spiritual side. It was the luminous side to what become ever living. And that's not out of the blue. This is based on this verse of the Quran. And in the other verses of the Quran, the same thing Allah says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu stajibu lillahi wa lirasuli izza da'akum. So accept Allah. And it's not enough. And his Rasul. Why? Izza da'akum. When they, Allah and Rasul call upon you. Lima yuhyikum. Look at this. So that would give you life. That means we are dead. If we were alive, so wouldn't the Quran Sharif wouldn't say that. So Ya ayyuhallazina amanu stajibu lillahi wa lirrasuli. So all those who amanu, is another first stage. Just accept Islam. That's the first. Then accept Allah. So accept Allah in true sense. Then his messenger, Rasul. Why? Lima yuhyikum. So that he would grant you life, not this physical life, because this life is no difference with those life of the cattle. So this is very straightforward, this verses of the Quran. And that very verse, then after is that is lima yuhyikum, so they would grant you life. Then wayaj'al lakum nuran, so and is going to make a nur for you. So nur comes the last all the time. It's the last. That's the intellectual birth, if you will. I think we have talked about that. And this in the spiritual birth and intellectual birth would not happen without the tasting the death. First, if anybody has not heard that before, is death, experience of death, going through the dead or dying is something to be tasted. That's strange, but that's what the Quran says. 29/57, kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut. This is the condition in order to achieve the spiritual birth and intellectual birth. This is the condition. Kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut. Every nafs, every soul will taste the death. Za'iqatul maut. Za'iqa, taste. Then, summa, then, only then, ilayna turja'un. Towards us, you can come. So without that death, that's the gateway. That's death is an experience. That's a transformation from one stage to other stage. So this death that he's been talking about here is not that the deaths from the accidents or at the end of the age, life of somebody. No, this one could be experienced before that, and only then ilayna turja'un. You can come towards us. You could return to us. And that's the whole story about inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun too. So that was about the Khizr alayhi salam, that not physically but spiritually, and he has had that status that he had become the teacher of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. Any murid of, not anybody, any murid of the Imam of the time can achieve that status. And we're going to come to this poem from Pir Nasr Khusrau, that others believe that Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam had drunk that water and become eternal. But what Pir Nasr Khusrau says, and this one says, Shi'ai Fatimiyan yafta'an abi hayat. Fatimiyan means the Imaman, the Imams. The Imams, Ali Nabi Awlad Ali, not the other so-called Imams. Shi'ai Fatimiyan. Fatimiyan, so it's restricted to Fatimiyan. That Fatimiyan is our identity. That's very important. That's the foundation of Imam Shinasi. Fatimiyan. I'm going to come to a hadith later in this session. Let me come back to that. Just I came across this hadith here. I heard it before in a short way, but today I found this on the Google. If that's the case, it's a very fundamental, I think, to our identity, to our faith. In this hadith says, Ya Ahmad, Ahmad is the name of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Ya Ahmad, law laka, if you were not there, or if you did not exist. Law laka, if you did not exist. So it's this hadith Qudsi, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala talking to Prophet Muhammad sallam, if you did not exist, or if you were not created, or if you were not there, lamma khalaqtul aflaq, then I would have not created the heavens. So the heavens have been created because of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. Walau la Ali, and if Ali were not there, or if Ali did not exist, lama khalaqtuka, I would have not created you. Walau la Fatimatu, and if Fatimatu Zahra alayha salam did not exist, lama khalaqtukuma, I would have not created both of you. Look at that beauty. Isn't that beautiful? That's when we read the poems of Pir Nasr, some of this Fatimi, Fatimiyan, not Alawi, Fatimi. When it says Fatimi, Alawi is included in that. We have talked to that. We'll go back to where we were. So Hazrat Pir Nasr Khusar Quddasallahu Sirrahu says, Shi'i Fatimiyan, the murids of the Imams, who all in Nabi Awlad Ali, those Imams, in their respective times, Yafta and Abi Hayat, they have found that Abi Hayat, that water of life. Not just the Imams, their followers also found that Abi Hayat. Khizr in Daur Shudastan, they have become the Khizr of their times. Ki hargiz namiran, that they will never die. That's about the followers of the Imams of the time, of the Imam of the time. All the Shia of the Imams in the respective times. But conditions apply. In the next poem, it says, Chief Fazl Awarem ay Pesar Bar Satur. What excellence, what honor will we have if you compare to other animals? So what excellence will we have? Agar ham chu shan khuremu marem, if we just eat and die like those animals. And there's no excellence that we would call ourselves murids of the Imam of the time, but if we just eat and die like those animals, then there's no way we call that a honor or excellence against those animals. In other words, we are the same as those animals. So these are 2 points of Pir Nasr Khusraw when about Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. So I think we have covered that question about Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. And when we talk about Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam or any Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, any prophet, everything comes back to the Imam of the time, the true Imam of the time. Why is that? That is because in the Quran Sharif is talking that everything goes in a circle. Everything goes in a circle. Kullu fi falaki yasbahun. If everything goes in a circle, all the subjects in the Quran Sharif also go in a circle. And what's the source? What's the pivot for all those subjects in the Quran Sharif? You pick any topic, anything. If we are good, well equipped with the knowledge, at least with ilm al-yaqeen, everything goes back to the Imam of the time. That's the case because Prophet Muhammad SAW said, Inna likulli shayin qalban wa qalb al-Quran yasin. That everything has a heart, and the heart of the Quran is Yasin. And the Surah Yasin, we have this, wa kulli shayin ahsayna fi imam mubin. That's the pivot. That everything goes in its. That's the source, that's the pivot, that everything in the Quran is Sharif. Everything goes around this Imam of the time. Everything's about Imam Shinasi. Whether you pick the story of Khizr alayhi salam, whether you pick that of Adam alayhi salam, Noah alayhi salam, all those prophets, all the teachings of our peers, everything goes about Imam Shinasi. Imam Shinasi. So this Quran has a heart. That heart is all reaching, all encompassing, all the subjects in the Quran. It's a different story that we understand it that way or not, but that's the reality. We are coming to question 29. It's about the Nabuwat and Imamat. What is the difference between Prophet and an Imam? And the answer, Allama Sabuzwar mentioned that essentially, deep in that reality, there's no difference. Same nur. 2 aspects of the same nur. But it depends on the cycles. So we have the cycle of prophethood, the cycle of imamat. At the time of during the cycle of prophethood, imams are in the back seat. Like look at the Bani Israel, all those prophets of Bani Israel. Or after Ibrahim alayhi salam, then they came Ismail alayhi salam and Ishaq alayhi salam. Ishaq, the trusted imams. Imam Mustawda, all the sequence started from there. So the Imam Mustaqar goes on the back seat. Imam Mustawda does the job. During the cycle of prophethood. But during the cycle of imamat, there's no prophet. In the Quran it says, Khataman Nabiyyin, end of the prophets. So cycle of Imam started. What does that mean? That Imams did not exist before? That nurun ala nur. When it comes to understanding the truth about Imam Mustaqar, nurun ala nur, nur ala nur. We talked about this, nurun ala nur, nurun ala nur. That's permanent. The office of Imamat is permanent. That's based on the decision of Allah. In the Quran Sharif, he says, when he says nurun ala nur, so there's no separation. Nurun ala nur, nurun. The next one, yawman nad'u kulla unasin bi imamihim. So at any given time, that people will be called upon to be presented to Allah with their respective imams, not bi rasulihim or bi nabiyihim, no, bi imamihim. So imam must be present at any given time, whether it's the cycle of prophethood or any other cycle. Permanent. Yawma nadu kulla unasin bi imamihim, because the imams will be the witnesses on all those groups of people. And they will be called upon along with their imams, not the prophets. So imams will always be there. And this, let's say we all had this celebration of Eid. Eid Fitr, Eid al-Adha, and Eid al-Ghadir. We also have Eid al-Ghadir. Because a little bit, it's related to this topic too. Generally, probably, we believe that when at the Ghadir Khum, Prophet Muhammad Sallam declared the Imamat of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. Was that the case? Or that Nur came to Hazrat Abu Talib, Abdul Muttalib alayhi salam, from Abdul Muttalib, based on the hadith of Prophet Muhammad Sallam, divided into two parts. The Mustawda part went to Abdullah, the Mustaqar part went to Abu Talib. From Abu Talib, the Mustaqar part, Nurun ala Nur, Nurun ala Nur, the permanence of the Nur of the Imamat. Abdul Muttalib, Abu Talib, Ali alayhi salam. And if we, historically, so what we have been taught with all these scholars of this time, when it comes to history knowledge, from 1 to 5, I would consider myself 2. So I don't have deep history knowledge. So it was brought to my attention that Hazrat Abu Talib, when did Hazrat Abu Talib pass away? It was before Ghadir Khum or after Ghadir Khum? It was before Ghadir, declaration of Ghadir Khum, before the Eid of Ghadir. So that Imam Mustaqar, that silsila, that progeny of that Abdul Muttalib, Abu Talib, Ali alayhi salam. Ali, when Abu Talib left his physical attire, so Hazrat Ali alayhi salam was right there. There's a Nurun ala Nur, Nurun ala Nur. But declaration of Ghadir Khum came later. What Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did? Ya Rasulu Baligh. He declared that Eid, the fasting was, he was fasting. So this Mustawda, Nur Mustawda came from Abdul Muttalib, Abdullah, Prophet Muhammad sallam. Then it came back to Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. So was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam Mustawda? What's the how do we define the Mustawda? This is a question that you could ask Buzugwar Dr. Bahrulum Sahib about this, to clarify this. But based on this definition, that what is Imam Mustawda? Imam Mustawda is the trusted Imam that one generation or few generations, then give the Nur goes back to Imam Mustaqar. So here what we're talking about the Nurun ala Nur, Nurun ala Nur, Nurun ala Nur, the Imam Mustaqar's permanence, Daimi, Qadimi, always there. Whether it's the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam or it's Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, any other prophet, but on the back seat the permanence of the Nur Mustaqar is always there, always there. So what was the point here, that the last point they were trying to make, that Hazrat, who said to Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallam to Ya Rasul Baligh, Anna Aliyan Mawla al-Mu'minin? Who said that? In the language of Sharia, strictly speaking, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala said. But in the language of Haqiqah, in the light of the teachings of our peers and Hujjats, well, Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, this is now is the time to declare the Eid Ghadir. Fasting is over. So even Prophet Muhammad sallam did this fasting. And declaration of Eid Ghadir was that the Imam was, when Hazrat Abu Talib left his physical attire, so that Nurun ala Nur was the next Imam, was Hazrat Ali salam already. So Ghadir Khum is not just the beginning of the Imamat of Hazrat Ali salam. No, it's just the Eid Ghadir of Hazrat Ali salam. It's very important, I think. This very, very important. Very fine lines in between. I hope we understand that. And here, based on this, what Hadith Qudsi, very important Hadith. I think it's very important Hadith. O Rasul, if you did not exist, we would have not created the heavens. If Ali did not exist, we have not created you. And if Fatima to Zahra alayhi salam did not exist, we have not created both of you. That's very strong message in there. And what Mawlana Rumi says in one of his poems, Muhammad Bud Qiblagahi Alam. It's true that Muhammad was the Qibla Gah, Alam. All the in this world, for all the people, Muhammad was the Qibla, center of attention. He was the center of attention. Wali bartakht dil Sultan Ali Bud. But in Muhammad's heart, the Sultan, the king, was Ali. So Prophet Muhammad himself had a king sitting in his heart. And that kingdom was about the Imamat. That king was Ali. When we talk about Hazrat Ali, one thing very important that note, that everything comes back to the Ali after time. If we confess to the dignity of Hazrat Ali as a historical Ali, that's fine. That's very good. That's part of our faith. That's our identity. But if we're not strong in that faith that everything comes to the Imam of the time, the Ali of the time, things fall apart. Because the current witness, divine witness, the current Qiblagahi Alam is here, Imam of the time. So everything goes in the Imam of the time. So everything goes in a circle. That very circle has a soul. That soul is the universal soul. That soul is the Imam of the time, the true Imam of the time. So very important poem is Muhammad Bud Qiblagahi Alam. Muhammad was with the Qiblagah, the whole universe. Wali bartakht dil Sultan Ali. But someone king on his heart was Ali. And with that, with our beloved Azam's mercy and your prayers, I think we have completed the answers to question number 28 and 29. Anything else is not clear, you may ask right now. And if Naveen Saiba, do you have any other hukum, or should we stop the answer question period?
Yeah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Friends, if you have any questions, any comments, you can unmute and come forward. For me, it was beautiful to understand that, how important it is to listening to all of this, how important it is to have recognition of the Imam of the time, like you mentioned several times today, especially understanding this true knowledge. And if we don't understand the recognition of Imam, how behind we are. So that was one beautiful thing you mentioned.
With His mercy, everything is Imam of the time. The deeper our understanding, everything comes back to the Imam of the time. And when we talked about different cycles, Qayyum, anything is not out of this. It's not out of the blue for us. Prophet Muhammad SAW said that from the time, if only remains one day, وَلَوْ يَبْقَى مِنَ الزَّمَانِ إِلَّا يَوْمٍ وَاحِدٌ. From the time, if nothing remains but just one day, and the justice is not done, essence of bracket, if you will, the justice is not done yet. So, فَتَوَلَى اللَّهَ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is going to prolong that one day. It's going to prolong that one day. أَتَى يَخْرُجُ رَجُولًا مِنْ زُرِيَّتِهِ. To the point that Rajul, a man, would come out of from my zuriyati. So it's not out of the blue. Okay. Hazrat Isa will come down from the heaven, or Mahdi will appear. No, there's no such things and out of the blue in our faith. Everything is logical. It's going to go. So what we need to do is just be strong in this knowledge. Everything falls in place. If this goes out of our hand, this understand this, the وَاتَّسِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. This is the rope of Allah, divine rope. So we hang on to this tight. Tight means with this ilmul yaqeen and practice. Otherwise, it's going to slip out of our hands. So the stronger our knowledge, the stronger our what is knowledge? It's another facet of faith. Faith is another facet of intellect, based on Shakir Musani as Imam Salawatullah says. So intellect is another facet of faith. So intellect becomes so strong with the knowledge. So the stronger the knowledge, the stronger the intellect, the stronger the intellect, the stronger our faith. And our grip will be strong in that rope. For billions of people, that rope doesn't exist. For us, hardly exist, depending on our capacity of how strong our two hands, knowledge and action. Based on that, we can climb up. Thank you, Naveen.
I mean, inshallah, with help of all the scholars teaching us and giving us time, and increasing on our ilmul yaqeen level, inshallah, we may progress as a big group, inshallah. Friends, if you have any comments, any questions, you can come forward.
Yali Madad.
Madad.
Yali Madad, Sultan Sahib. मुझे ये बोलना था कि एक तो आपने जो हजरत की सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम का जैसा आपने आज समझाया, ओ माय गॉड, क्योंकि हमेशा वो स्टोरी में समझा था, लेकिन आज जो आपने जैसा समझाया ना सर, इट वाज सुभान अल्लाह, शुक्र शुक्र मौला। और मुझे ये जानना था कि आज तक है ना हजरत अली और हजरत नबी साहब के ही बारे में ज्यादा हम सुनते आए हैं, आले नबी औलाद अली, लेकिन आज आप जो फातिमिया का बोले ना, उसको और थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन करो ना प्लीज सर। कि अगर बीबी फातिमा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम नहीं होते तो हजरत अली और हजरत नबी भी नहीं होते, तो ये बहुत एक नई चीज आज सीखने मिली है। तो मैं चाह रही आप इसको और थोड़ा अच्छे हमको एक्सप्लेन करो प्लीज। थैंक यू।
Should I do it in Urdu? You were asking in Urdu, or should I do it in English?
Whatever, sir. But I cannot speak so fluently in English, so I ask question in Hindi. Okay. So whatever, sir. आप जैसे भी English, Urdu, both is okay.
Okay, I'll speak in English then. Honestly, I came across this. I heard this from Buzurgwar Allama Sahib himself, to the point that up to Ali alayhi salam. But when I searched today, I found about additional part about Hazrat Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. So that was for me something new. So I need to ask myself this question from, I would say, Dr. Bahrulum Sahib, Dr. Faqih Muhammad Sahib, that speak about this. Because I heard this from Buzugar Lanasab himself, this hadith, up to the point of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. Let me bring that hadith, just 1 second. So I had heard this up to here, Wallahu la Ali lama khalaqtuka, to here. But when I searched today, because this was related to this topic, I found this part, Wallahu la Fatimatun, if Fatimatu Zahra were not there, it did not exist. Lama khalaqtukuma, I would have not created both of you. So, now I know could be a deep, very deep secret here beyond my understanding, that Fatima Zahra alayhi salam was the Qibla for all of them. It's something to think about, and we're gonna think about this and see what we come to. Not if we don't come to a conclusion now, that we can ask Dr. Faqih Muhammad Zaisab about this hadith, because this I found it was new something for myself today. Okay, one part of the question. The second one, when it says Fatimi, because Hazrat Ali alayhi salam had more than one marriage. So today a lot of people claim themselves that they are part of Alawi. It could be true, but when it says Fatimi, it's restricted to Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Imam Hussain alayhi salam. The Imam Mustaqar continued just from this progeny, Fatimi. When you say Fatimi, Alawi is included in that package. Fatimi is Yai Nisbati. Fatima, Fatimi. Like Pakistan, Pakistani. Kashmir, Kashmiri. This Ya in Arabic is Yai Nisbati. Give nisbat to someone, like where they are from, where do they belong. We say Shah Karimul Hussaini. Why do we say that? His enemies, our enemies, murdered our imams, murdered Imam Hussain. They thought they put out the nur, but today that nur, in the form of Shah Karimul Hussaini, Ujjatul Amri, Sahibuz Zaman. Look at this beauty. Ujjatul Amr, that Hujjat from divine, from Allah, that possessor of the Amr, the witness above for all these people. Ujjatul Amr, Sahibuz Zamani wal Asr, that Shah Karim al Hussaini is from that progeny of Hussain alayhi salam. It's present here. They murdered that Imam Hussain alayhi salam, but that nur continued on. That nur, nurun ala nur, nurun ala nur. Wallahu lam tamsasu nar. So some very tough situations, even if the, let's say, light, you can light the lamp from the other lamp, but in some tough situations, even if that doesn't touch the other one, on how Pir Nasr Khusar says that light by itself is gonna be a light, nur. Wallahu lam tamsashu nar, nurun ala nur. So let's not get confused. Fatimi, always Ali Nabi Awladi Ali, based on divine wish, continued through Fatima Zahra and Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. That's what Fatimi. And if Ali alayhi salam had other marriages and other children from the other marriages, that's only called Alawi, not Fatimi. Fatimi, Hassan, Hussain. From that continued on, Fatimi. That's Imam Mustaqar. In the Quran Sharif, Allah Ta'ala decides that Prophet Muhammad is the last prophet, and his progeny will continue from no other man. It says in the Quran, Ma kana Muhammadun. Muhammad is not the father. أَبَا أَحَدٍ مِّن رِجَالِكُمْ, from none of your men. So he's not the father of any of your men. What does that mean? But he is وَلَكِنْ Rasulullah, he is the Rasulullah of Allah, messenger of Allah, وَخَاتَمَ النَّبِيِّينَ. So he's the end of the prophets, he's Rasulullah, and his progeny will not continue from any man. There was only one woman, Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. It's not mentioned in the Quran, but it means in the language of wisdom, not from another man, but from Fatima Zahra. So that all Nabi Awlad Alis continue on, and that's our identity, that's our gratefulness, that's our humility, that's our submission, that's the whole thing. وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. I hope I cleared the question and did not confuse it any further.
thank you sir, thank you. It both clear हुआ sir, thank you.
Shukr.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah, it's beautiful. That's why we always say in the zikr, Ali Nabi Awlad Ali, due to Bibi Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. One more thing which came to Nachis's mind was, in Chandra, we only say Bibi Fatima's tasbih, and, that's the only woman's tasbih. We have been doing it for Chandra. And then in Book of Healing also, Allama Sahib talks about the importance of doing Bibi Fatima's tasbih on daily basis. So one of the friend is actually asking, would it be appropriate to seek Hazrat Bibi Fatima's help to reap the benefits? If you want to talk about something on that.
Where would you find Fatima Zahra alayhi salam? Where would you find that nur? Where would you find that blessings? Well, the answer is وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. My paternal, maternal blessings. When beloved Imam alayhi salam says, so where you want to seek the blessings of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, or Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, or Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, or 124,000 prophets, or before that, or you want the blessings of eternity, Azal, Abad, all that, you don't have to go anywhere. Farmans of the Imam of the time, everything is there. Everything is there. There's no, you will find Fatima Zahra alayhi salam there, you find any nur that you would love to. That everything is in that وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. That verse of the Quran is not complete. If you go before that, because that's part of the verse, and that says نَحْنُ إِنَّا نَحْنُ نُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. Prophet in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says Inna nahnu, is double emphasis. It could be inna nuhil mauta, we give life to the dead, that's it. But inna nahnu is double, we again. Nahnu also means we give life to the dead. Wa inna nahnu nuhil mauta wa katabu asarahum وَكَتَبُوا مَا قَدَمُوا وَآثَارَهُمْ وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. So, and record their asar. Asar means heritage, whatever is left behind. And ma qadamu, and whatever they sent in before. So somebody does all these actions, all these good things, they send it in advance in their book of deed, and also asar, whatever they leave behind. So all of them, of those persons that we give them life, where are they? So in order to stay on that, or with these two hands to that rope, divine rope, you don't need to do anything else. Just go after the Imam of the time. If somebody goes after Ali alayhi salam, somebody goes after Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, then it comes up to Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salah, but doesn't accept the Imam of the time. Everything's gone. That permanence, nurun ala nur, nurun ala nur, this millenniums tested nur, not centuries. Millenniums tested nur is there guiding us. That's the Jami'ul Jawami. That's Masalul A'la. That's the total of the totals. That's the source. That's the Qibla. If we find that, we find Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. We find 124,000 prophets. But if somebody believes in all those angels, 124,000 prophets, but just misses the Imam of the time, it's done. The story is over. I hope I answered the question.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Ji beautifully answered the question. Thank you, and we pray that inshallah, may Mawla keep us all steadfast and on our ilmul yaqeen, and may He keep us steadfast on understanding the Imam of the time. Thank you, Sultanuddin Sahib, for beautiful session. Thank you, friends, for joining. Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad. Thank you, everybody, for your attention, for your prayers. Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad. Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad, thank you so much.
Wala Ali Madad.